Dividends, they feel just like income, but mathematically, they're just part of your overall return. And over long periods, we have to ask ourselves this important question. Do dividend funds grow our wealth faster than growth funds, or is it the other way around? This is a key part that I'm going to be answering in today's video, and it is a follow-up to a video I did just recently on my $9,000 dividend payout. And I'm going to show you facts on why I personally invest for growth right now, and why you might be better off with either growth or maybe even dividends based on your own personal financial journey. See, most people think that dividends are basically free money. In fact, heck, I used to think it myself. So the question is, why do people think that dividends are free money? Well, it comes down to three different things. It's because cash hits your account automatically. Whether you reinvest those dividends or not, when that dividend payout happens, you're getting the money. It's visual, you can see it, and it feels good. There's no sell button that you have to press. It's an automatic distribution, and it feels like income, not liquidation. This is psychological, but it's not mathematical. And to be clear, the psychological benefit, it's real, it's a thing, but the math is a little bit different. Let's take the tale of two lemonade stands. So you and your friend, you each have $100, and there are two different lemonade stands that you can buy into. Lemonade stand number one, we'll call this the dividend stand. This stand is already very popular. Everybody hits it up when they're driving by. It makes good money right now, and it's documented. Every month, the owner says, "Thanks for owning part of my stand. I'm gonna pay you $1. That $1 is a dividend. So what's happening here? Well, that cash gets paid to you regularly. You can expect that money. Of course, the stand doesn't grow super fast, but it feels safe, it's predictable. And it feels like getting an allowance. Or maybe you're renting out a room in your house and you know you're gonna get that income every single month that is due for payment. You have a choice. You can spend the $1 if you want, and go out and buy something with it, or you can buy more lemonade stand shares with it. So it's your initial $100 that you put into the business, plus the $1 monthly payment. Well, now you have $101 invested, and the next month $102, and you can keep rolling that dividend and reinvesting it into lemonade stand number one, and you just keep repeating that every month. The choice is yours and yours alone. But now we're going to talk about lemonade stand number two. This is called the growth stand. You're not going to get allowance. You're not going to get that payment. But instead, the owner of lemonade stand number two, they say, "I'm using all the money that happens, that I get, the profit. Instead of paying you that $1 or whatever I may pay you, I'm going to use that money to buy better machines, to hire people, and to open new stands, all on my own in my business. No cash today. But next year, well, that stand could now be worth $150 instead of only $100. Even if you reinvest that $1 every month, $150 is obviously more than $112. So what's happening here? Well, no money is paid to you now, but all profits are reinvested. They can grow faster, they scale up the business, and the value of your money, your initial investment, over time beats out the dividend stand. So really, it's like you're planting a tree instead of just picking fruit off of that tree. So that's the whole beauty behind the decision that we have. Are we going to be purely a dividend investor or a growth investor? And now keep in mind, you can get growth stocks and growth ETFs, and they do pay a dividend, but they're not going to be as high as a purely funded dividend account. So if this is resonating with you, and hopefully it gives you an aha moment, this is a key point that a lot of people miss. They just hear something on a YouTube video about a dividend, and they're like, well, that sounds good. But I'm going to give you some facts that you can dig into so that way you can make the best investing decision for the future. The two that I'll use for my portfolio are going to be VOO, which is the S&P 500 fund, and QQQM, which is the NASDAQ 100 fund, compared to the following well-known dividend ETFs: DIVO, SPYD, DGRO, and JEPI. We're going to look at the total return so that way we can see the true dividends plus the true growth over the last 5 years at minimum. And one more actually I thought of, SCHD. We talk about that one a lot. Why not add that to the list? In fact, I'll start with that one. So what we're looking at now is a charting of Seeking Alpha. What you're looking at actually is a free version. If you go over to seekingalpha.com, you can do this for free. But if you want to check out the 10-year or even longer, even the maximum, you can actually get a really good deal on what we call Seeking Alpha Premium. Right now, I just want to show you the free version because free is always good. But if you want some additional investment scope that you can look through all these things as an absolute ninja, click the link in the description below or scan the QR code that's on the screen right now and get yourself set up with a special deal from Seeking Alpha. We're starting with SCHD. Over the last 5 years, since 12/31/2020, they returned 53.98%. And SCHD, that is with the dividends reinvested back in. So that's those little snowballs being added to the bigger snowball. Okay, 53%. Let's take a look at DGRO. DGRO returned a total of 74.97%. So right off the bat, DGRO, a little bit better performance than SCHD. DVO, which I actually do have this in part of my portfolio, not in my main one, but in a side one. And DVO, 78.82%. That one's pretty good as well. SPYD, this is 65.07%. And then JEPI at 58.73. Keep in mind, JEPI is a little bit of a different strategy. That is some covered call, writing options strategies mixed into some growth and some dividend payouts. Whereas SPYD, SCHD, things like that, those are true dividend paying ETFs. But let's compare that return to my growth funds. We're going to start with VOO. VOO in the last 5 years returned a total of 97.57%, beating all of the dividend ETFs. QQQM returned a total of 104.22%. And so this is true total returns. So even though I might not be getting the big dividend payouts that you might get if you have something like SCHD or DVO or something like that, I'm going to, because of the growth fund, over these last years, looking back over the last 5 years, return more money than any of these other funds. If two people would go into these funds, they each invest $10,000 each, well, the person invested in QQQM or VOO has more money at the end of this 5-year run than any of the dividend players, even if you reinvested all those dividends. That's a key point. But remember, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. That doesn't mean that these dividend funds are not a good thing to think about, because it's all about that predictable income. Because one of the big warnings that you need to consider is something like QQQM. Take a look at 2022. It goes down, down, down. In fact, if you look at the gray lines underneath it, all of them were pretty steady. There's a lot of volatility in high growth ETFs and even high growth stocks, right? So we got to remember as smart investors, are we okay with the volatility? If you have a long time horizon, if you're still younger, heck, even like 40, 30, 20, something like that, you're okay because you have time on your side. You have time for this to catch back up and ride the roller coaster of the ups and downs. But if you are getting close to retirement or you want to be ultra conservative, that is not a good thing because you're losing a lot more value. And if you're trying to depend on that income to carry you for your daily expenses, QQQM might be a very scary fund to hold on to as your primary fund, maybe a little bit of a percentage of your portfolio, but if it's like the whole percentage, that could be absolutely nerve-wracking. Instead, having something that pays a predictable dividend, especially something like DVO, I mean, that's a fantastic one. Look how kind of half flat it is, except for this past year. It's kind of like hanging out there, right? It still has a nice little growth return to it, but it's paying monthly dividends. And so as somebody that needs to live off of that, if you have a sizable nest egg in DVO and it's just spitting out dividends and you don't reinvest them, you can use that money for your daily expenses in retirement. Both are options to you. It just depends on your own personal strategy. So many people like to argue, but there's not a right or wrong answer to this. It's all based on what your examples are. But let me give you an actual academic research analysis on this, not just some internet hoo-ha. There was a landmark study done by Fama and friends. These are Nobel Prize-winning economists. They found that long-term returns are driven primarily by earnings growth and reinvestment rate, not by dividend payouts themselves. They looked at all of the data that they could get their hands on. They did many Monte Carlo backtest analysis, and they were able to make this conclusion, and that's a powerful one. Dividends feel good, but they don't create extra return. They just change when you receive those returns. So you might be asking, okay, well, where do I fit in this game? Well, here's not financial advice, but a little chart that you can take and do your own research on. Let's say you're young, anywhere from 18 years old to 45 years old. What usually wins is growth investments. If you're still earning income, let's say you have a job, you have a career, you have a side hustle, you have something that's paying you money that is predictable and you aren't at risk of a layoff or some other issue. Well, if you're still earning income, no matter what your age is, growth could still potentially win unless you're dangerously close to retirement age and you want to actually retire. If you have a long time horizon, so even if you're young or whatever you are, if you still have, let's say you're 60 and you think you're going to live to 100 and you don't want to retire, well, growth could even work in your favor if you still have a long time horizon ahead of you. I look at a long time horizon as anything 20 years or more. But if you are living off of your investments and you're going to stop working, you're not going to have any type of income coming in anymore. No more job income, no more business income, whatever it may be. Or if you're living primarily on your investments, that's when you can start really thinking about dividend investments alone. To have that steady, predictable income that you can apply to your everyday expenses. The rule that smart investors use is that they build wealth with growth ETFs and growth stocks now, and then they use dividend-paying funds later on to enjoy their life in retirement. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what if I don't want it? What if I just want to keep it in growth ETFs until the end of time? In fact, if you look at J.L. Collins' book, The Simple Path to Wealth, I'll link that in the description below if you want to check it out. It really primarily talks about the S&P 500 and bonds. Could that be an option? Well, it absolutely could be, because if you grow your funds over 100, 200, 300% over the many years, you can withdraw by selling those shares at a rate of 4% per year and almost live off of your growth funds entirely for the rest of your life without running out of money. If you want to learn more about that, drop a comment down below and I'll come back with the magic behind the 4% rule. But until that time, keep growing your Sharpe money. Make sure you check out this video next and we'll see you on the next video.